Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about my co-sleeping slash bed sharing journey with my daughter. Somebody had requested this and I thought it would be a really great video to do because I haven't done it yet. And it is something that I think would be really interesting to talk about. This is going to be a very informal video. It's just going to be me sharing my own personal experience of sleeping with my daughter. So Riley is currently 9 months old and we have been bed sharing with her for her entire life. I do more normally call it co-sleeping, but I know some people consider co-sleeping to be just sleeping with the baby in the same room as you, whereas bed sharing is more specifically having them in the bed with you. Although I use the words interchangeably. When I talk about co-sleeping, I am talking about sharing a bed with my daughter. Now, I will say, to start off, before Riley was born, I wasn't sure how she was going to fit in the bed with me and my husband because we only have a double-size bed. So in my mind at that time, I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to fit a baby on this bed as well. So we did start off with a co-sleeper cot, which is one of those cots that basically it's missing a side and it goes straight up against the bed. It's at the same height as the bed. So basically it's an extension of the bed and the baby is there, but it's kind of in its own safe space. Safe. Personally, I've never felt unsafe having my daughter in the bed with me. Now, there are safety guidelines that everyone should be following when they're co-sleeping with their baby in their bed. But to me, those guidelines follow common sense. Like when I look through them, because it's like, you know, don't sleep with the baby in the bed. If you're on drugs, don't sleep with your baby in the bed. If you're a heavy smoker, because the smell of the smoke is not good for the baby's lungs. You know, you're increasing your chances of your child falling, not falling, dying from SIDS. I have like some separate views on why I think babies die from SIDS. But at the end of the day, they don't know why babies die from SIDS. So I'm not even going to get into that. Regardless though, personally, I've never felt, like I said, I've never felt unsafe at all with my daughter in bed with me. I love co-sleeping. It's not just made life easier, but it just feels like our bond is so much stronger. Obviously, I don't know how to compare that to not sleeping in bed with a baby, but I definitely feel very, very close with my daughter. You know, you just always, I don't know, it's just sleeping in bed with your child. Like, how much more, like, I don't know, it's just the most beautiful moment. That, like, there are no words for it. Yeah, I can't think of any way to actually explain it. It's just, it's beautiful. It's like such a magical, sweet moment, and I get to live that moment every single day. I'm pretty lucky. So anyway, when we started off, we did have the co-sleeper cot, and that only lasted for a week at most. Riley was not happy sleeping. Even though she was right next to me, she was not next to me. So she was in the co-sleeping cot for about a week, and then that graduated to her sleeping directly on top of me. As a newborn, she was not ready yet to sleep next to me. She would basically actually sleep, you know, cradled in my arms, basically on the breast. So she would nurse herself to sleep, and then she would just stay like that for the night, and then she'd wake up, nurse some more, fall asleep, wake up, nurse some more, fall asleep. And then that lasted, she slept on top of me for, I'd say, another 2 weeks-ish. I'm going off of memory here, so it could have been a little less, could have been a little bit more. And from there, she graduated to sleeping next to me. So basically, she would sleep next to me, I would sleep on my side, and that way she would nurse laying down. And then she would generally like snuggle straight. I mean, she would get really close to my body. Like, she loved the skin on skin. She loved feeling my body heat. She would get right up underneath my armpits. She didn't care that I stunk, that I hadn't showered in days. She wanted to be close to me. She wanted to smell her mama. That is where she felt comfortable. And I was more than happy to oblige her because, like I said, it's just, there's nothing sweeter than that. It's so sweet. And I will say that when you've given birth to your baby, like, and you have a breastfeeding relationship with them, it is believed that, and I do believe it as well to be true, that you've got kind of like this connection to your baby, and you've got hormones in you that kind of keep you so you don't sleep as deep as you normally would. So for me, in my experience, sleeping with her next to me, anytime she would wake up, I always woke up just before her. She never woke me up. Literally, I don't know what it would be, but like I would wake up and then like within like a couple minutes, like she'd be like moving around, turning, and then wake up. It's so weird. I don't know why, but I know that I've spoken to other mamas who co-sleep and they've had very similar experiences. If you're a co-sleeping mama, please share your experience down below as well, because then people can hear my story, they can read in the comments, and they might have a better idea of how co-sleeping works, and maybe we can dispel some of these myths and, you know, just like the general feeling of being scared. A lot of people will not co-sleep because they are just like told over and over again that it's not safe, and they just believe that it's not safe, even though people have been doing it forever, just forever. Yeah, so she started sleeping next to me on the bed, so she wasn't in the cot anymore. She wasn't sleeping on top of me. She was definitely less than a month at this point, and now at 9 months, this is still how she sleeps. She sleeps next to me. The only difference is at the young age, she pretty much would fall asleep suckling, and then at some point while she was asleep, she might finally detach from the breast. At other points, she actually would comfort nurse and dream feed straight throughout the night, and she would never let go. And that was fine because I was already laying down in bed, so I was able to sleep regardless. But now she'll have a feed, and then she'll detach, and then she'll fall asleep. That's what she tends to do now, with the exception of her naps. I will say when she naps, she tends to comfort nurse throughout her entire nap. And I just haven't been able to get her to break that. She rules the roost. I always say she's in charge of me. I'm not in charge of her. I know we're called parents, but she's in charge of me. My life is completely bended around her. I'm fine with that. I love her. Yeah, so right now she sleeps basically, sometimes she sleeps in between me and my husband. Sometimes she sleeps between me and the wall. So we've actually put our bed down onto the ground, and we've pushed it up against the wall. So at 9 months, she is crawling, she's moving fast. It no longer felt safe to have her raised up from the ground at a very high height. So we've moved the bed to the floor. We actually just did that about a month ago, so it's fairly new for us still. We are still in a double bed, but we are dying to change that. I did mention in Riley's, I think it was her 9-month update video, yeah, it was definitely that video, that we are looking to get a bigger bed. We're just trying to figure out what will be the smartest option for what the mattress is made out of, because I'm still trying to figure that out. There are a lot of options out there because we're trying to keep it safe. We don't want to just get some cheap mattress full of chemicals. I definitely want to find something that will, you know, last us a long time and be safe for us and baby to sleep on right away. Yeah. What else? I have some notes written down, obviously. That's what I'm looking at, right? So some great benefits of co-sleeping or bed sharing is also that I've always, since she was born, I've pretty much always been able to sleep at nighttime. Obviously, she's had highs and lows with how well she sleeps. But in general, like I've not had like less than, I don't know, maybe 6 hours of sleep is probably about the least that I've had to function on, which I think as a mom is pretty dang on stinking good. I know a lot of mothers out there get much less sleep. But just because I'm sharing with a bed with her, like if she's sleeping, like I generally can sleep. So obviously my quality of sleep some nights is better than others, but just the fact that since she's been born, I don't think I've had less than 6 hours of sleep at night. I think the only exception to that would be when she was first born and she was bringing in my milk. That would be the one exception. And that was only one day. I don't know if I got any sleep that night. Because when she was bringing in my milk, obviously she was feeding constantly and she was very, very upset. And that was like around the third day. Technically, we weren't co-sleeping yet because she was in the co-sleeping cot. Well, we were co-sleeping, but we weren't properly bed sharing. Yeah, so I mean, also with my husband, I've never felt unsafe having her sleep with him next to her. He also, he fits within all the guidelines for healthy, safe co-sleeping. Definitely look those up if you are not familiar with them. If you just do a Google search how to co-sleep safely, I'm sure you'll get the bullet pointed list. It's basically don't sleep if you're overly tired, don't sleep, if you're taking any kind of medications that are heavy medications, don't sleep if you're on drugs, if you're drinking alcohol, those kinds of things. If you're a heavy smoker, I don't remember everything on the list, but it's along those lines, and it's kind of well, duh. That's how I feel, personally. But anyway, that's been my co-sleeping journey. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It's always just felt amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world. I honestly could not imagine having her sleep in another room. Maybe that makes me a helicopter parent because I would just feel too paranoid with her in another room. But the bed with her when she's sleeping, first of all, I never get tired of staring at her while she's sleeping. She is an angel. I could stare at her all day. There's just so many emotions of love, caring, just awe and wonderment at the fact that this human being pretty much came out of nowhere. I mean, she came out from inside of me, but there she is sleeping right next to me, and I made her these things they're just constantly running through your mind, and it's I don't know. I know you think these things anyway if you're not bed sharing, but bed sharing, it's such a beautiful thing that I definitely encourage anybody and everybody to at least give it a try. I totally get that it might not be for everybody. I totally get that even some babies will be perfectly happy to sleep on their own, and they might sleep better on their own. But in general, I think most babies prefer to be sleeping in bed with their parents. Not all, but I think most. Definitely, though, I would encourage and say that everybody should at least give it a try, as long as you can do it safely. I mean, don't give it a try if you're if you don't fall underneath those safe guidelines. I would understand why you're not going to bed share. But if you can safely bed share, try it out. Try it out. It is amazing. Yeah, there is nothing better. And I mean, if you feel safe having your child sleep in your arms, on the couch, and you feel safe enough to nod off, let me tell you something. Then you should feel safe bed sharing with your baby, because there are a lot more incidences of accidents happening if you're sleeping on the couch, in a chair with your baby. It's definitely much safer to sleep with your baby in the bed. So anyway, that's my story. I hope you guys found it interesting, and I am going to try to get some footage of me sleeping in bed with my daughter. Obviously, I can't get that footage, so when I say try, I'm going to try to get my husband to get some of that footage before he gets into bed, because he usually gets into bed after us, just because she's at that stage in her life right now where she's very easily distracted. So if he's in bed with us, she can't fall asleep. So generally, I'll put her down into sleep first, and then he'll come in after she's already fallen asleep, and he'll join us in bed. So I'll see if he can get a little bit of footage, because it's just such a sweet moment. Yeah, so if I get that footage, I will add it in at the end. If not, I'll just say goodbye now, and thanks for watching.